Well, the first story I wanted to talk about today is something that had seemed like a kind of a rumor, something like really, really far out there, and has slowly started to pick up steam. Right? I mean, when I first heard this, I thought, okay, this is out of left field, right? This is for even people who hate Trump or don't like Trump. This is a bit much, right? And that is the question of whether or not he is faking his COVID-19 diagnosis, whether or not Trump actually has the coronavirus. And it's one of those things. It can seem like a very a far out there kind of question, something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if there's one thing that Trump has been very, very consistent at, it's that he's a liar. In fact, the Washington Post, their fact checkers have found that the president has made 20,000 false or misleading statements since he has taken office. 20,000. And in case you are, really good at math, you've probably already figured this out. But that averages out to about 23 lies a day. 23 lies a day. Honestly, I don't know how that. You got to be creative to lie that much. I don't know how anyone can actually lie 23 lies a day. That's a lot of lying. And, that's a big problem when we have something going on like the coronavirus. And there's also been studies that have looked at where's all this bad information coming from about the coronavirus? Where is all this bad info coming out that people, where's all this misinformation coming from? And you guessed it, it is coming from none other than Trump himself. Right? Vox did a study, or they reported on a study, that found that President Trump has been the biggest source of COVID-19 misinformation, right? And also all the stuff on masks, the crazy stuff about hydroxychloroquine, all that stuff. They're finding that Trump is the biggest source of that misinformation. And so it kind of makes a lot of sense why people would question whether or not he actually has the virus. I mean, he's been saying all kinds of crazy stuff about it. And as a wise man once said, you can fool me once, but...
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Just can't get fooled again. And so my big question is, and I'll be honest, I have not been I was kind of on the outside of this. I did not think he was faking it. But my first question was, why lie? I mean, why would he be faking it? You're trying to understand, why would he actually do that? And I see a couple possibilities here. First, he wants to change the conversation around the coronavirus, right? He wants to, obviously this is something that's going to dominate the election. He knows that. I know that. You know that. And he's been for months, trying to put the coronavirus behind him. And so, him being positive, it gives him two options that I see. He could either be really sick, possibly life-threatening, and that would just kind of ruin everything that he's, fought for this whole time. If he's downplaying the virus, saying it's like the flu, all that kind of stuff. And actually, funny thing is, still saying it's just like the flu. Let me blow that up for a little bit bigger. Yeah, he tweeted the other day that, hey, he was kind of rage tweeting the other day. But yeah, he tweeted, if I can find it for you here. Yeah, he just tweeted, it's just like the flu. It is not that big of a deal. So again, downplaying the virus. Because obviously it's been a big problem for him. Oop, that's gonna reload. I won't worry about that. But yeah, so he'd downplay the virus, say it's not that big of a deal, and then he could kind of change the conversation around it, right? He could review hydroxychloroquine, which of course I think he's been dying to do, and say, hey, this stuff actually really works. It worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you. But the idea there is that he could, again, downplay the whole thing by saying, oh, I wasn't really that sick. I was totally fine. They've made a big deal about this whole thing. That's the other option. And that's the thing I was kind of worried about when he first got sick. Obviously, he's older. He's not the healthiest guy. He doesn't seem to do a whole lot of exercise. And yeah, those are not good factors for COVID-19. And so I kind of thought, looking at this, that all right, maybe Trump's going to have a hard problem fighting this. And, you know, or he was going to have an easy time fighting this, and it was going to say, hey, much ado about nothing. And the other option that he possibly has here, reason for lying, I should say, is trying to delay the 2020 election. And a lot of folks have, you know, he's been trying to do that for a long time, saying, hey, we should push the election back. People can't vote because of the pandemic. And this could just be adding to that, saying, hey, I have had coronavirus and I've had to quarantine. I can't do all the stuff. I can't be on the campaign trail. It's not fair. And so that's another option of why he could be lying. Theoretically, he would have to quarantine for 14 days. And even now, the White House is not saying exactly when he tested positive. So he said he tested positive on Friday. That's when he announced it. It was kind of like, or I should say, early Friday morning, Thursday night. But we don't know when he actually tested positive. And so theoretically, this could knock him out for most of the ramp up for the election. And so maybe if he was faking it, I don't know if he is, but he could use that as another push to, hey, delay the election. But Republicans and Democrats, in rare bipartisanship nowadays, have both signaled that they are unwilling to do that they're not going to move the election. So, to be honest here, those are all the reasons why he would lie. But to be honest, I don't think he is. I really don't think he's lying about this. First of all, it would take way too much coordination. And if there's one thing the Trump administration has proved over the last 4 years, they're not very good about that. Right? Also, you would need a lot of people to keep it quiet, right? And one thing we've gotten from the Russia investigation is that they're not good at that either, right? They're not good at keeping people quiet and in keeping people from, you know, saying the truth, right? They're not very good about that. So the idea that all of a sudden he's going to get sick and go to the hospital and all this stuff, that would take a very big level of coordination on the Trump administration's part, and I just don't think they could pull that off, which is kind of a sad thing to say. And so Trump has already home now. He's back at the White House, and this is another reason why I think he is actually, you know, telling the truth on this one, because he told everyone, hey, you know, he's telling the truth on whether or not he is sick. What I think he's lying about is how he feels now. Take a look at this video. This is him after he got off Marine One and he got back to the White House. And the video is lagging a little bit here, but as you can kind of see, he is gasping for air. He is having a hard time breathing. Let's see if I can blow this up for you a little bit. And so the thing about this is, you know, he just walked up a flight of stairs, and it's kind of reasonable to think that someone who just, you know, fought this coronavirus that can definitely affect your lungs would be having a hard time breathing after going up a flight of stairs. I mean, he just got out of the hospital, but it shows you that he is still sick, right? If he was faking it this whole time, why the huff and puff when he walks up the stairs? I mean, I know he's out of shape, but is he that out of shape? I don't know. And so it just seems pretty plausible. One thing about this video, I hope you can hear this, is that, yeah, first, the music behind this video is just nice. That's just wrong. I first pulled up this video and I was like, oh, that's just wrong there. So, is he faking it? Oh, well, this video also proves two things. It proves that he's probably sick, and it also proves that he's an asshole because he's walking into the White House without a mask on, infecting possibly the 90 full-time workers who are actually there, which is just a shitty kind of thing to do. But yeah, I mean, he looks sick, you know? I mean, you just kind of do like an eye test there. He looks sick. And whether or not this is a political stunt, you know, I think Trump was actually sick, and he, of course, hey, don't miss an opportunity to make it a political stunt.
Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Don't let that happen.
Don't let it dominate your lives. And that's been very offensive to people who have had the coronavirus. And I was trying to think of the right words to put just how offensive that is, and I couldn't figure it out, but someone else put it in the perfect words for me.
I just left Walter Reed Medical Center, and it's really something very special. The doctors, the nurses, the first responders, and I learned so much about coronavirus. And one thing that's for certain, don't let it dominate you.
Not everyone's lucky enough to walk out of the hospital after 2 days, so we saw what this disease can do. So guess what? We are afraid. We are. I still am.
I didn't feel so good. And 2 days ago, I could have left 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I felt great, like better than I have in a long time. I said just recently, better than 20 years ago.
Why are you bragging? Have empathy to the Americans that you are our leader. Have some empathy to the people who are suffering and grieving. Don't
let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Don't let that happen. We're the greatest country in the world. We're going back to work.
Let it dominate your life? No one's letting it. Nick didn't let.
Sorry, it's lagging there a little bit. But yes, don't let it dominate your lives. That is the voice of Amanda Coates, who is the widow of a Broadway actor who passed away a couple months ago after fighting COVID-19 for months and months. And so she has no choice on whether or not it is going to dominate her life, right? I mean, her and her now infant son, they've lost a husband, lost a father. And so, I mean, this just kind of shows how, if Trump was faking it, he's just doing a horrible job of making this work for him. So what I think this is more of a sign is that, look, Trump didn't take this virus seriously, and it is biting him at the worst time possible. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for watching Citizen Pete. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, click that little subscribe button, maybe the like button, and hey, maybe just leave a comment. I want to know what you're thinking. What do you think about all the politics, the news, and all the stuff that's going on in our country?